the Orlando Magic had an absolute dream start as an expansion franchise. After a few years of being awful, they lucked into the first overall pick in the 1992 NBA draft, and they'd select Shaquille O'Neal out of LSU. The next season, after just missing the playoffs, the Magic somehow won the lottery again, and they used the first pick that year to trade for Anfernee Hardaway.
Penny and Shaq instantly became the best young duo in basketball, and in just their 6th season, the Magic made the NBA Finals. But unfortunately, due to the inability to hit their free throws late in games and just a horrible move by the front office, this team was never able to bring that title to Orlando.
Before we start talking about the 95 Magic, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. In 1987, the NBA announced 4 new expansion teams: the Charlotte Hornets, Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Orlando Magic. The Hornets and Heat would join the NBA in the 1989 season, and the Timberwolves and Magic would follow in 1990. And just like every expansion team, the Orlando Magic had some early struggles. They won 18 games their first season, the second worst record in the league, and for the next 2 seasons, they really just weren't a good team. Basically, the only bright spot during this time was they drafted Nick Anderson with their first ever draft pick, 11th overall, and they had Dennis Scott, but that was really it.
Yeah, but after that, they quickly began the greatest, build in NBA history, because it's not even really a rebuild.
It isn't.
Because they didn't tear down nothing, because they didn't exist. So, it really was the greatest build in NBA history. Started with the 1992 NBA draft lottery. Top-heavy draft, dominated by big men. You had Christian Laettner out of Duke, obviously one of the best and most iconic college basketball players of all time. You had Alonzo Mourning coming out of Georgetown, but the prize that everyone wanted was Shaq coming out of LSU. One of the most hyped prospects in NBA history.
And we'll throw some Shaq college highlights up right now, but this shit is just comical. It gets said too much, but this is a literal example. This is a grown man playing against boys.
This is a grown man playing against toddlers. There's this one clip where legit there's 4 dudes surrounding him, just hands up I'm doing the best I can, coach, and Shaq is just going through them.
And yeah, like you said, Shaq was one of the most hyped up prospects ever. I mean, recently on Inside the NBA, he said he was like Wemby before Wemby. Not in terms of play style, they're different players, but just the hype. LeBron, Wembanyama, you could go back to Kareem. Maybe those are the only players that were more hyped up coming into the league.
The Magic would end up winning the 1992 NBA draft lottery, and obviously they were taking Shaq #1 overall.
And he just came out the gate with 11 straight double-doubles.
Just casually.
Who does that?
Him. And only him, I think.
Literally.
The hype, I think, might have been justified.
I would probably say so. He was an all-star his rookie season, first time since Jordan. And how about the win improvement for the Magic? They basically just added Shaq. That was their only key piece that offseason. And they went from 21 wins to 41 wins, basically just because of him.
Double their win total.
Crazy.
One player doubled their win total. The Magic would end up just barely missing the playoffs. They were tied for the 8th seed, but the Pacers had the tiebreaker over them. Still though, a massively successful rookie season for Shaq and the Magic. And going into the 1993 NBA draft, they only had a 1.5% chance to get that top pick again, and they got it somehow.
Just incredible. There was 66 ping pong balls. They showed in a graphic during the draft lottery, and the Orlando Magic had one of them, and that was the one that was chosen. And the draft lottery this year is hilarious because first, the Magic are supposed to get the last lottery pick, the 11th pick. When the Pistons get announced, me and the Magic jump into the top 3. There's an
Detroit
audible
Pistons.
gasp. Because people are just really? This franchise that just came up is getting it again? And then once it gets down to the top 3 and the Magic are revealed as the first team, people are both equally shocked and you can tell they're kind of pissed off.
No one is more shocked than the Magic GM.
Yeah, he had no thought this was going to happen.
Can't believe it. But the theatrics would not stop there, because fast forward to draft night, and the Magic, they take Chris Webber, number one, obvious number one pick. He actually got a huge ovation because the draft was taking place in Detroit. He played at Michigan. He grew up in Detroit. So they interviewed Webber after he got drafted. They asked him about playing with Shaq, and he was like, oh yeah, looking forward to it. Could be fun. He sounds a little lukewarm about it. Sean Bradley went second overall to the 76ers, and as the night was going on, there was some speculation the Magic could trade Chris Webber maybe to the Warriors. Then the Warriors take Penny with the third pick, and then David Stern gets up to the podium and he's like, I have a trade to report, and my God, this man is a master of stage presence.
He just is a straight showman. Like, he gives the time for pause, for the crowd to react. He lets the tension build. It was just incredible. And eventually he announces the Magic had traded Chris Webber to the Warriors, got back Penny Hardaway, and also got back 3 future first-round picks. What a fleece.
That's an incredible fleece. Chris Webber is a very good player, excellent player, but he is not worth Penny Hardaway and 3 first-round picks.
He also played a grand total of 1 season for the Warriors.
Well, he and Don Nelson hated each other.
Yeah, did not see eye to eye. Now going into the 94 season, Shaq and Penny, instantly the best young duo in basketball. And Shaq built off that rookie season and became legit like a top 10 player in the league already. He had a stat line against the Nets in November where he put up 24 points, 28 rebounds, and 15 blocks.
15 blocks?
Just straight my career numbers.
Okay, at 10 blocks, if I'm the coach of the Nets, I'm like, guys, we can't bring the ball in there anymore. We just can't.
Start shooting threes.
I get that they couldn't shoot back then, but when the guy has 10 blocks, just stop trying. You're not getting past him.
He also had that putback dunk against the Suns where he brought the entire hoop down. Like, they had to change the regulations and the rules for the hoops to make them more secure because the dude was just that dominant and powerful.
Shaq finished 4th in MVP voting. He got 3 first place votes, all just in his 2nd season. And that's not to take away from what Penny Hardaway did in his rookie year. He was MVP of the rookie sophomore game, averaged almost 16 points and 5.5 assists, barely finished behind Chris Webber in rookie of the year voting, but also the rest of the roster besides those two. I mean, you had Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott developing as some nice young shooters. You had Scott Skiles, who was a solid backup point guard. And the Magic finished the season as the 4th overall seed in the Eastern Conference with 50 wins, making the playoffs for the first time ever.
During the 94 playoffs, they matched up with the Pacers in round 1. Game 1 in Orlando, the Magic controlled most of the game. They had an 8-point lead going in the 4th. Then the Pacers just kind of slowly chipped away. Reggie Miller hit a huge 3 to tie the game with 43 seconds left. Shaq responded with a tip-in to give the Magic the lead back. And then the next possession for the Magic on defense was just a disaster. They got 2 stops, couldn't get the rebound. It gets out to Reggie Miller with about 10 seconds left. They, for some reason, decide to send 4 bodies at him.
Set the all-out blitz.
Leaving Byron Scott open. I know Reggie Miller is one of the best shooters ever. Byron Scott's not a bad shooter, especially wide open for 3. He hits the shot, and the Pacers take a 1-point lead.
Yeah, final possession, Nick Anderson missed a potential game-winning shot. Not the worst look in the world, but bitterly disappointing to drop game 1 like that.
And then in game 2, kind of roles reverse. The Pacers come out hot early. They take a 7-point lead going to the 4th. Dennis Scott, Nick Anderson, though, in the 4th for the Magic, just started to drain threes. With 31 seconds left, Dennis Scott hit a 3 that cut the lead down to 2. And how about this 3? For all we've heard about hating on the 90s, you gotta at least give Dennis Scott credit. The dude was ahead of his time.
D3. They called him that for a reason.
He could shoot.
Dude could shoot. Next Pacers possession, the Magic actually got a stop this time, and they got a rebound, and they would have had a wide open dunk on a fast break, but the refs called a shot clock violation, and I get the replay is slowed down, but that ball is clearly in Shaq's hand with 1 second left on the shot clock.
Yeah, they got screwed over. They would have had the game tied, but instead they have to inbound in their own half court, and Penny, it looked like the possession was going nowhere. He was getting clamped up. He got an okay look at the end, but it still missed, and the Magic are now down 0-2 after 2 games in Orlando. This is back during the 5-game series. We're going back to Indiana. If they lose game 3, the series is over.
Yeah, and in game 3, the Magic, they responded pretty well. They had a 4-point lead going into the 4th quarter, and then they just fell apart. Shaq picked up a foul early in the quarter and had to sit. Reggie Miller caught fire, and the Magic, in their first ever playoff series, they got swept. During the offseason, though, the Magic added the final key piece that they really needed for this team. That was Horace Grant. He was coming off an all-star season. He was an all-defensive guy. And most importantly, he had experience because basically no one else on this team did. He had played with Jordan's first three-peat Bulls. He knew how to win. It's what that team needed.
Yeah, they desperately just needed one veteran in that locker room to be like, here's how you do it. I've done it before. Like, follow me. And during the 1995 season, like, Shaq and Penny were already good enough, but Penny just took a massive leap this season. He was getting comparisons to Magic. He was so good. Him and Shaq were both all-star starters. In just Penny's second season in the NBA, he was all-NBA first team. And the Magic would win 57 games, including going 39-2 at home, one of the best home records in NBA history.
It's funny, that meant they were pretty on the road then.
Yeah.
18-23.
Not very good.
I mean, young team, I guess.
Yeah, young team. I guess that Orlando crowd was just rocking.
Shaq was just as dominant as ever. He finished second in MVP voting behind David Robinson. Most importantly, though, he actually played really well in the playoffs this year. In round one, the Magic matched up with the 37-win Boston Celtics, got off to a pretty solid start in game one. They won by almost 50. But then in game two, the Celtics marched into Orlando and got a 7-point win behind a 35-year-old Dominique Wilkins pouring in 24 points.
That's so funny.
Bad look for the Magic, though.
That's one of those classic things, like us people that didn't experience this live. Dominique Wilkins playing for the Celtics. Just so funny to see. Games 3 and 4, a little bit closer than you'd like playing against a 37-win ace seed, but overall, the Magic got it done. They'd win the series in 4. And in round 2 awaiting them, it wasn't your stereotypical 5th seed. This was a 5th seed that added Michael Jordan at the end of the season. And in game 1 versus the Bulls, Shaq got the better of Jordan. Jordan kind of struggled shooting. He went 8 of 22. And honestly, he straight up choked at the end of this game. The Bulls kind of had it sealed up. They were up 1 with 16 seconds left. He was bringing the ball up the court, but Nick Anderson poked away from behind. Penny got the steal. This led to a Horace Grant dunk that gave the Magic a 1-point lead. And then again on the final possession, they still had a chance to win the game, and Jordan turned the ball over once again.
And after the game, Nick Anderson with his infamous quote that number 45 doesn't explode like number 23 used to. Number 45 is not number 23. I couldn't have done that to number 23. Why don't you just go tug on Superman's cape while you're at it?
I know there was this thing where Horace Grant like heard that after the game and he's like, bro, what do you think?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
And immediately in game 2, Mike's like, screw that. I'm done wearing number 45. I'm going back to 23. Apparently the NBA didn't want that or wasn't allowed, but he's like, f it, I'm doing it anyways.
I'm Mike. I don't give a f.
And he proceeded to drop 38 in game 2, leading the Bulls to a 104-94 win to even the series.
Game 3 now in Chicago. Jordan continued to light the Magic up. He had his first 5 shots, and the Bulls had a 5-point lead after the first quarter. Even though he continued to play well, the Magic responded big time in the second quarter. They outscored the Bulls 33-24, took a 4-point lead going into halftime. Third quarter was back and forth. Each team went on a run. And then the fourth, this young Magic team, they showed out. It was a total team effort. Shaq started them off with 2 straight buckets. Nick Anderson and Dennis Scott were hitting huge shots, and Penny was out here facilitating. And again, just uncharacteristic turnovers at the end of the game for Mike. Bulls are down 2 with a minute 30 left. He drives left, turns it over. Horace Grant hits 1 or 2 free throws at the other end to increase the lead to 3. Then on the next possession, Scottie Pippen just hucks up a brick from 3. Shaq gets the rebound, ices the game at the line. Really impressive by the Magic, especially after that game 2 from Mike going into Chicago and getting a win.
Yeah, this Magic team responded big time, and shout out to Shaq. Not the guy you'd expect to ice the game at the line, but he did.
Shaq has always said, I'll make them when they count.
That's true. Game 4, the Magic started this game out pretty well. They hit their first 6 shots. They took an early 13-6 lead. But after that, the Bulls put the clamps on. The Magic were turning over everything. They had 6 turnovers basically in the next 2 minutes. Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc were getting out in the break. The Bulls took a 34-20 lead after the first, and they really controlled most of this game after that. The Magic made it close a couple times. Dennis Scott, he hit a 3 that tied the game at 67 late in the third, but they were just never able to get the lead back, and really it was the turnovers that killed them. 22 turnovers led to 20 points for the Bulls, and we had a tie series going back to Orlando.
Game 5, the Magic struggled early on. The Bulls would take a 7-point lead going into halftime. Shaq especially was real bad in the first half. 2 of 12 from the field, 4 of 10 from the free throw line. Mike looked like Mike again. He had 39 points. But the big difference was the Magic dominated the third quarter. A 3 from Dennis Scott gave the Magic their first lead of the game at 57-56. Also, by the way, gotta mention, Hulk Hogan was here. Don't know why. I know he's from Florida, but maybe he was just there soaking in some NBA basketball.
Yeah, might as well.
Why
90s
not?
NBA basketball, like, I'd be showing up.
Dennis Rodman was around. Like,
Yeah, good time. From there, the Magic slowly built up their lead, and they just never gave it back. And Horace Grant specifically was just sensational this game. He had 24 points on 10 of 13 shooting, and the Magic were now one win away from the Eastern Conference Finals.
Game 6 must win for the Bulls back in Chicago. The game was back and forth all night long. Shaq was dominant. He scored 27 points, including this one steal where he just rips Pippen and then goes coast to coast for a dunk. At the end of this game, though, Nick Anderson hit a baseline jump shot over Tony Kukoc to give the Magic a 1-point lead with 43 seconds left. On the next possession, Jordan found Luke Longley for a wide open dunk, and he completely biffs it.
That's that classic thing. I mean, we always hear Jordan always took the final shot, and he made the right play.
Who cares if he made the right play?
Right.
I want him shooting that shot.
Yeah, he needs to shoot that double team, like, fading mid-range shot. I don't care. Anyways, though, Dennis Scott would hit one free throw to cap off the series. Jordan once again had another late game turnover after that, and the Magic would take down Mike and the Bulls in 6. What a win for this young Magic team. I know Mike had just joined the Bulls, so he gets a little bit of a pass. I mean, this series needs to get brought up more, but huge win for the Magic, taking down Mike and the Bulls.
I was gonna say, this loss is not on Mike, but this series has been buried deep.
Yeah, doesn't get talked about ever. In the East Finals, the Magic would match up with Reggie Miller and the Pacers, and they started game 1 like the Pacers took a 23-5 lead, but luckily for the Magic, Shaq and Penny were just incredible this game. You had Shaq, he had 32 and 11, and Penny, he had 20 and dished out 14 assists to lead the comeback. The Pacers would make it interesting late, but the Magic would hold on to get a 105-101 victory and go up 1-0 in the series.
Game 2, the Magic had a much better start, led by 9 after the first quarter. This game was the Reggie versus Shaq duel, though. Reggie had 37, Shaq had 39. Once again, though, the Magic hold on. A 3 from Nick Anderson with 13 seconds left gave the Magic a 5-point lead. So they're going up 2-0 in the series, heading back to Indiana.
And in Game 3, the Pacers, you gotta give them credit, they did a much better job on Shaq. They limited him to 18 points. Penny was great again, though. He had 29, but the Pacers were able to hold on with a 105-100 win to get their first win this series.
Game 4, back and forth all night long. Pacers pulled away for a little bit in the third quarter, got the lead up to 12, but the Magic responded back. They took the lead, but with 1:41 left, 1-point lead for the Magic. Horace Grant's called for a reach and foul. That fouls him out. On the other end, Shaq is called for an offensive foul. That's his 6th, so now he's out. So the Magic are now down their 2 starting bigs. And then the Magic are called for another foul, and Rick Smits gave the Pacers a 2-point lead at the line. By the way, just get ready, because the rest of this game, bananas.
Yeah, this is one of the craziest ends to a playoff game ever. With 13 seconds left, Brian Shaw would hit a 3 for the Magic. That gave them the lead back. Reggie Miller then responded with the Pacers. He hit a 3. This gives the Pacers a 2-point lead with 5 seconds left. Threes aren't done here, though, because Anfernee Hardaway hits this just ridiculous, leaning in 3. Penny not known as a great shooter, but he hits that 3.
I tell you what, he's lucky he's 6'7".
Yeah, he's really lucky.
If he's 6'5", that ball's hitting the ground because he's getting capped.
But that shot gave the Magic a 1-point lead with 1.3 seconds left. Just got to get a stop. But then Rick Smits hits Tree Rollins a little up fake, then hits a little mid-range shot inside at the buzzer to give the Pacers a win. God damn, what a crazy end to this playoff game.
I will say 1.3 seconds left is not a lot of time to hit the pump fake, the step through, and get the shot off.
But apparently they gave it to him.
They did.
I don't know modern review if that's hanging on, but back then it counted. Game 5, tie series, back to Orlando. The Magic controlled most of the first half, and they took an 8-point lead going to the half. Shaq, once again, just incredible. 35 points, 13 rebounds. Pacers made it close late, but the Magic hold on for a 108-106 win, and they were now just 1 win away from the NBA Finals. And
they got clobbered in Game 6 back in Indiana.
They did.
Literally. Pacers led by 11 after the first quarter. They ended up winning by 28, so we're going back to Orlando for a Game 7. This game was somewhat close early on. It was a 3-point game after the first quarter, 7-point lead going into halftime. But then the Magic dominated the Pacers in the second half. They outscored them 53-36. End up winning 105-81, and they're off to their first NBA Finals in franchise history in their 5th year of existence?
Yeah, that is ridiculous. I don't know another team team that's ever done that, like across any sport, not just the NBA. Like, what?
I think the Vegas Golden Knights made the Stanley Cup in their first year.
Yeah, that is true. Forgot about that.
That's hockey. That doesn't count.
Not paying attention, to be honest. Sorry, any hockey fans, but you're not going to see any uploads on that anytime soon.
Damn.
In the NBA Finals, the Magic would match up with the 6-seeded defending champion Houston Rockets. Don't say that often, but this was the big man like duel. That's what it was hyped up to be. You had Hakeem, who was already a defending champion established, and then you had up and coming Shaquille O'Neal. In game one, it lived up to the hype for that. Hakeem had 31 points, 7 assists, 6 boards. Shaq, on the other hand, nearly had a triple-double, 26 points, 16 rebounds, 9 assists. The Magic started off this game great. They took an 11-point lead going to the half. The Rockets would respond, outscoring the Magic 37-19 the third. They took a 9-point lead going to the fourth. Kenny Smith, it's not just on TV, folks. He could shoot the ball.
He could play back in his day. 5 threes in the third alone.
The Magic, though, in the fourth, they'd immediately respond, and it looked like they had this game sealed up. They were up through just under a minute left. Hakeem turned the ball over. On the ensuing possession, they had a couple misses, but they just kept getting offensive rebounds, and the Rockets were forced to foul, sending Nick Anderson to the line. A 70% free throw shooter, not the best, but, you just need to hit one.
You'd think he could hit 1 of 4.
Yeah, 1 of 4. He missed the first 2, got his own rebound, so he's back to the line, and then misses 2 more. Crazy.
Kenny Smith, of course, would hit a 3 on the next possession to tie the game, and we're headed to overtime. Overtime was back and forth, but the Rockets, they held on to a 3-point lead late. Dennis Scott tied the game with a 3 with just 5.5 seconds left, but on the other end, after a Clyde missed driving layup, Hakeem was able to tip the ball in with his right hand. It's one of his most iconic plays, and the Rockets escaped a wild game 1 in Orlando with the win.
In game 2, the Rockets just straight carried that momentum. They took a 22-point lead going to halftime. The Magic would chip away a little bit, but really the game was never close, and the Rockets won 117-106, going up 2-0, headed back to Houston.
Game 3, unlike Game 2, was close all night long, came down to the last couple seconds. Down 3 with just under 40 seconds left. Shaq found Horace Grant for a nice little mid-range shot that cut the Houston lead down to 1. But on the other end, who else but Robert Horry would hit a huge 3, extended the Houston lead to 4 with just 15 seconds left. Magic had a little bit of life after Nick Anderson hit a 3, but Sam Cassell would ice the game at the line. And at this point, you're down 0-3 in the series if you're Orlando.
We know teams don't come back down from 0-3. I mean, the Magic, they fought. We'll give them that. They took a 4-point lead going to the half of game 4, but just a dominant second half for the Rockets would give them the win. And just like that, the Magic were swept. Hakeem capped it off with a 3 just for fun. Shaq on the other end, like the last play, shoves Hakeem at the end.
He shoves him pretty hard,
yeah,
too.
You could tell he was pissed, but didn't matter. The Rockets went back-to-back. And just a brutal result for the Magic, especially after game 1. Like, who knows if Nick Anderson hits just one of those free throws, how this series could have gone.
Yeah, they would have lost 4-1.
Yeah, probably, but I mean, they were still the better team all season. Who knows?
Yeah.
The next year, though, the Magic were actually even better. They won 60 games this year. Penny was once again first team All-NBA. Shaq was third team All-NBA. And even though they won more games than last year, they actually got the second seed because Mike and the Bulls set the record for the best season ever at the time with 72 wins. Magic in the playoffs, though, they'd cruise through the first 2 rounds. They beat the Pistons with a sweep. They took out the Hawks with a gentleman's sweep. But awaiting them in the conference finals was Mike and the Bulls. And he was out for revenge this time.
I know Mike in his locker still probably had a picture of Nick Anderson with that dumbass quote, like, I'm gonna show this idiot what it's all about. Bulls swept the Magic, and it was capped off by Mike going for 45 in Orlando in Game 4 on Nick Anderson's dome.
Yeah, just classic Mike. Like, what else can you really say? During the 1996 offseason, Shaquille O'Neal was a free agent, but the Magic had everything going for them. They had his bird rights. This was before max contracts existed. Like, there was no CBA rule for that, so they could offer him, like, whatever they wanted. Luxury tax didn't exist, so the owner didn't really have to deal with that. And their initial offer was 4 years, $54 million.
Pathetic.
Absolutely pathetic.
That is.
Are you kidding?
That's insulting.
It is.
You offer that to just some role players today.
That's like, I don't even know whose contract. Like Jordan Clarkson might be making more than that.
I think Jordan Clarkson would be insulted if he was offered that.
And because of that, Shaq was insulted, so he decided to test free agency. There was a bidding war for a while between the Magic and the Lakers, but eventually the Lakers got Shaq. They locked him up to a $120 million deal over 7 years. And this is just heartbreaking for small market fans like ourselves. Shaq leaves Orlando. He go to the Lakers. They're immediately dominant. Obviously, they win that three-peat with Shaq and Kobe. For us small market guys, we hate to see it.
We hate to see it, but at the same time, pay your stars.
Oh, entirely deserved.
This would be like if LaMarcus left us in 2015 because we offered him 2 years, $40 million. It's like, yeah, I'd see why he'd want to leave after that.
The Magic were like okay for a couple years just with Penny and the rest of the role players they had, but obviously they never reached that top tier. Even to this day, I mean, they made the finals again with Dwight, but I don't know. Unless Paolo takes some massive leap, I don't know if the Magic will ever see a team like this. So what do you guys think? Where do you rank this Magic team all time among the other teams that were never able to win a title? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. Don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.